Around 15 years ago, I used to go into CEX in Cardiff and pick up a film that I'd never seen before, never heard before, go home and just chuck it on, maybe get a takeaway, and that would be my night. And of course you can do that for video games as well. So if you're on a budget, is it possible to have a weekend's worth of entertainment for £1, £2, anywhere up to about a fiver? I think most of us would probably have a couple of pounds spare every now and again to be able to buy a video game. So if you go into CEX on a budget, can you pick up something that is truly entertaining and will keep you occupied for that whole length of the weekend that you have free? Or is it only those garbage games that are under £5 and you really should stay clear of them? So in my CEX, it is separated into various sections, as I'm sure yours is as well. But upstairs is Wii, PS2, original Xbox, Wii U, GameCube, and they do dots and PC games up there as well. I had a look at the Wii games. It doesn't really interest me at the moment. I will eventually start picking some things up there, but then I looked at the Wii U, and you know, there are plenty of Wii U games out there that are cheap in value. You've got Rayman there straight in front. I did pick up that one, which was 30 quid, because I'd never seen it before, didn't really understand why it was 30, but you can get a lot of first party titles on the Wii U for about 5-6 quid, so that's not too bad. PS2, again, there are a lot of PS2 games that would more than entertain you for the weekend. And I know a lot of people are not, maybe not this one so much, but I thought that was pretty decent for about 2 quid. But I know not everybody is going to be in that situation where you're happy to go and buy a PS2 game and play a PS2 game. You've got a PS5, and yeah, you're still on a budget, but you do have a PS5. Do you really want to be playing a PS2 game? I understand where you're coming from, maybe not. I did pick up Need for Speed Carbon here, 3 quid, really good game, more than enough entertainment, complete with manual, for the weekend. However, I want this on the Xbox 360. I ummed and ahed about it for quite a while. It's well within that sort of £5 budget that I was willing to spend. I decided against it and I put it back because I'm waiting to find one on the 360. They had one in here not that long ago. By the time I got there, someone had bought it. I think it was £8. I think it still is as well, which is pretty good considering how good that game actually is. Another little look around. I wanted to go to the original Xbox section. Unfortunately, there were people just laughing and joking about anime over there, and I couldn't get anywhere near it. Down to the GameCube section, you can pick up some Need for Speed Underground. There's, I think that's, yeah, a little bit over the budget there at £8. But, I mean, Rogue Leader, not a bad game, £6, not bad at all. This one right here, I know a lot of people probably wouldn't want to pick it up. I was very tempted. Winter Sports, £2. I mean, if you've got a Wii, or you do indeed have a GameCube, why not, right? Chuck it in, relive the past memories. So as I've just mentioned, I know full well walking into a CEX store and looking for a PS2 game to play over the weekend is not going to be everybody's bag. You want something a little bit more modern, you want something PS4, PS5, Xbox One and beyond. And I will look at those because there are still plenty of games you can pick up for under a fiver, but now I'm going to kick it up just one gear and I'm going to start looking at the 360, and then I'll start showing you the games that I picked up, because the 360 is the console that I'm focusing on a little bit more right now. I mean, we could go back even further because they do still have some unboxed like Mega Drive games, for example, that I could have looked at. I think they've got Home Alone unboxed at the moment in my local CEX. I still don't have that on the Mega Drive, and I really want it because as a kid I used to live on that game, but I want it complete with a manual, and it's just a little bit more expensive. But if you're not bothered about boxes, there are plenty of old retro like kart games, Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, even Master System and that type of thing. If you're happy to sit there for the weekend and play one of those games, there are loads in CEX, or at least in the company, that you could go and pick from. Maybe not so much in your local, maybe you'll have to go a little bit further afield, but Road Rash, and it's a game I've talked about a lot recently, Road Rash is absolutely a game I could sit there for the entire weekend and play all the way through, and I would be happy to have that just kart only. Same with Sensible Soccer and a few other games. I could easily sit there for the entire weekend and play those games. Back into CEX we go though. We're going to look at the 360 as I mentioned. This caught my eye actually. I'm pretty sure I already own this, and I'm absolutely right, I do own this. I bought this on the 9th of September 2022 on the PS4. So let's come to my first game then, Section 8 on the Xbox 360. And here it is in all its glory. I remember picking this up in a sale when it was, I think, like 19.99 back in the day, because it came out and it was about 35-40 quid, and people played it and they said it was okay. I don't really know an awful lot about it because I bought it for 20 quid back like I said, when it went on sale. Played it once or twice and then kind of just gave up on it because something else came out. I was a bit of a whore back in the day. I used to buy anything and everything just for the sake of it. So I'm going into this one semi-blind. I have played it, like I mentioned, but I can't really remember the ins and outs of it. This was £1. And if you're going to be watching this video going, oh god, he's buying games that are £1, that's the whole point of the video, right? So for a quid, you can walk into CEX and buy this. Now, are you going to enjoy it? I don't know, and that's why I bought more than one. Rather than just buying one game to last me 3 days to see if I could get through it, I thought I'd buy a few, just in case I don't get on with this. I can then go and play a couple of the others. Pretty sure I will get on with this, and I do want to give it a good go. For £1 though, I mean, you literally cannot go wrong. Complete with the manual as well, because for £1 you might as well find one with a manual. They had loads of these, as they do with the majority of their £1 games. And if you're looking to spend a little bit more than £1, there are definitely other games out there. So the original Far Cry, £2.50, don't think that's too bad. I'm going to reach up and bring something down here. Driver, unfortunately a cover reprinted, and it is just outside that budget, but that is a phenomenal game with some really groundbreaking mechanics that I don't think we've actually seen in other games. You play first person in third person, is so weird. Anyway, Homefront there for £1. You've got loads of Halos. Halo ODST for £1.50. I don't think they're ever going to shoot up in value or anything, but to be able to buy them for like £1 or £1.50 is definitely not bad. And then we come to Hawks. Now the camera angle on this is absolutely terrible, but there it is, £1 for Tom Clancy's Hawks. And here it is once again, one of the games I bought. I remember playing the second one more than I remember playing the first one. I think they had the second one there. Might have been £2.50, £3. I didn't buy it, but this one was disappointing to say the least. I think I really was looking forward to it because I really do like games like this where you're flying and you've got aerial combat and things, but for some reason, and it's been so long, I cannot remember why I didn't like it. I'm hoping now I can appreciate it in other ways rather than what I was thinking back then, and I found that a lot recently with some other games, and I'll talk about that in another video. Some games that I really didn't like on the 360 back when they originally came out, and even on the Mega Drive growing up, some games I just didn't like. I've played recently and thought, hang on a minute, that's not that bad. In fact, I quite like that. So I'll talk about that in another video. I'm hoping this is going to be another one, but for £1, I mean, am I going to get that cheaper elsewhere? Possibly, but how much cheaper can you get? That is £1. I can go into a car boot or on Facebook Marketplace, for example, and buy a collection of video games. The difference with going into CEX is you can handpick the ones that you want rather than just buying a bundle and hoping there's something in there that you like. The other thing, of course, is you can check the condition for the most part before you buy it. If there's anything wrong with it, you can take it back. And I do just like going in there and treating it like almost like a Blockbuster, for those of you who are old enough to remember what Blockbuster is.
I've never seen 10,000 tapes in one store.
There's so much kid stuff.
And I can keep them for 3 evenings.
Now this is a video store.
Ordinary video stores don't even come close to Blockbuster Video. You've just got to see it to know what we mean.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, what a difference. Blockbuster Video.
Come discover the Blockbuster difference.
Correct me if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments whether you prefer newer games to older games. Let's dive back into CEX quickly though. So Need for Speed's there, just a little bit too far out of the price range. Project Cars, if you're into your racing, this will take you a hell of a long time to finish for £4. Very, very good game, again within that budget. Never seen this before, was very tempted to pick it up, but I do kind of want to do a little bit of research on it. The problem with newer games is there are a lot of trash. I mean, I know there's a lot of trash on the older systems as well, but with the newer ones, they do release like these really pathetic arcade games that just don't really belong as a physical release, and I'm hoping that's not one of them. Again, this is another one. I don't know anything about this. From the back, it looked okay. For £6, just that little bit outside of that £5 budget, but definitely something worth looking into, I think. Killer Instinct was a game that I just picked up a second ago. That was a launch title, I'm pretty sure. I didn't really play it as much as I think I should have done. Again, another game here for £3. Was it called, is it Jagged Alliance? Again, it looks like one of those really quickly knocked up games that just don't look particularly, or won't play particularly very good, but it does look interesting. Plenty of other games down here. Elden Ring, I think that's just a little bit outside the budget at £35. But Evil Within, interesting, £3. I do pick up Evil West. I think, though, the sequel to the Evil Within is here, and there it is. Evil Within 2, £3.50, not bad. If you haven't played it, the other one's down there for £3. If you want to stretch your budget to £6.50, you can get 2 games. You can play through both of them, and they are a little bit more of the newer type thing. So it's going to be very story heavy rather than gameplay heavy, but at the same time, they are very good games. And if you're into sort of survival horror or just horror in general, I think you'll really get on with those. And they are very, very cheap. And there is a whole host of those type of games across the Xbox One and the PS4. Metro Redux for a £5. Not played this. In fact, I've not really played much of the Metro games in general. I do own one disc only on the 360. I should definitely give it a go. But for a £5, it's in the budget. I've heard it's decent, so why not, right? But I'm not going to buy it today. I'm going to move on. Again, Shadow of Mordor there for £4. That is an absolute banging game for £4. Get your money's worth out of that as well. Injustice there for a £5. Can't say I like it all too much, to be fair, but for £5, it is a game that will take you a little while to complete. Can anyone tell me about this game, Everspace? £6, so just a little bit outside that £5 budget. But this looks like a game that I would like. You know, EVE Online is a game that I tried once. Didn't really get on with it too much. It was a little bit too slow progression for me. I think if I'd stuck with it, I probably would have really enjoyed it. But is that game actually any good? And is it any like similar to EVE Online? Obviously, it probably isn't online, but still. Let me know in the comments if you've played that one. I've spent £2 so far, and I'm going to complete this now by spending a £5, and they are going to be Xbox 360 games. I apologise if you were hoping I was going to buy something else. I did actually buy other platforms and other games, and I'll show you that in another video in my series. And I'll give you a little recap of these as well. But the next game that I bought was Enslaved. I've always wanted to try this. It reminds me of a film called Fern Gully, just to look at it. It probably isn't anything like Fern Gully, because that was a sort of fluffy, happy kids film. This looks a little bit different, but £2 on this one, pushing the boat out, but it is complete with the manual in decent condition as well. But this is one of the ones that I think could go up in price over time as well, so it's better to get it now when it's around £2 than to have to wait, or not to have to wait, but to wait for, you know, 2, 3, 4 months and go, oh yeah, I remember I wanted to buy that, and now it's £5, £6, £7, which isn't a lot, but if you do that for every single game that you buy, and then like £2 now, and then eventually in the future when 360 goes up in price, because it will go up in price, 12 months from now, these games are going to be more expensive than they are now. But if it's only £2 or £3 a game, doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're trying to buy loads of them, that's going to add up quite quick. So Enslaved, have you played it? Let me know what you think of it. But for £2, thought today was the day. A little while ago, I made a video, and in that video was a list of games that are going to be leaving the Xbox store once they close it. Now, one of those games I couldn't find in my CEX, even though they said they had it in stock. And I asked, and they said, don't know, mate, don't know where it is. Come back another time. So I kept going back, and I couldn't really find it. Today's the day I found it. No manual, unfortunately. It is a very cheap game. It is only £1, which is going to take us to that magic £5. And it is a game that I've played about twice all the way through while listening to Five Finger Death Punch, which just made me feel invincible. It is Kane and Lynch Dead Men. Now, this game, for some reason, isn't available on the Xbox One store. It's only available to download on the 360 store, and at the moment, anyway, looks set to be going away. So the only way you're going to be able to play this is the physical version. Now, that doesn't mean that this is all of a sudden going to rise to £50, because it is available on the PS3 as far as I'm aware, and it did have a PC release as well. I quite like this game. I haven't played the second one, but I did like this game. I think there's one particular not scene, but like level part of the level where you're just walking through a street and you are getting pelted with bullets. And I remember, and I mentioned Five Finger Death Punch because I was listening to Bulletproof by Five Finger Death Punch while just running through it all. And I don't know why, but it sticks with me, that moment in gaming. You know, certain moments in games when you've just finished this really difficult boss. Tekken 7, there was the penultimate sort of boss, if you will. It took me ages to beat that guy and get the achievement for it, and I'll always remember that. And it's the same in this as well, in that little moment where I'm just getting pelted with bullets and I'm not taking cover, I'm just running through it all. It was awesome. Anyway, for £1, that is a pretty decent game to pick up. It's not expensive anywhere else, and yes, you could probably get it cheaper in a boot sale. Someone might sell it for 50p, you might be able to get it in a bundle, or £5 and you can get 20 games or something. You can find those those, obviously. But if you're looking to just go into CEX, have a little mooch around and pick up some games for the weekend, I have got 4 games there, a little bit of everything, and more than one weekend sorted. And I mentioned it before, if you're not into the 360, you can do this for the PS2, you can do this for a whole host of other consoles. Can you do it for the PS4, and can you do it for the Xbox One? There are loads of games that are under that £5 valuation. Some of these games are going to be far more expensive on the PS4, and that's down to Game Pass. But of course, if you have Game Pass, you won't need to go into CEX on a budget, unless, of course, you want something on the PlayStation side of things. When it comes to the PlayStation side of things, it's possible, and I've shown you a couple of examples, but it's not as easy to do, because a lot of the games start at around £6 or £7, and the good ones that you will really sort of want to get your teeth sunk into, they're going to cost you between 8 and 12. The sort of sweet spot when it comes to the PS4 is around the 8 to 12, maybe £10 mark. I mean, for £8, for example, on the PS4, I'm pretty sure you can pick up The Last Guardian. Persona 5 is also £8. I think Skyrim is in and around that price as well. Shadow of the Colossus was 8, it might be 10 these days, but still, those are very good games to pick up for between 8 and £10. The list isn't endless, but it is a pretty vast list. For 8 to 10 to maybe £12 at a push, you can get some real good quality on the PS4. It is possible to go in there with a £5 budget and pick out a decent game, but the choices are definitely fewer and far between on the PlayStation. So if you do have an Xbox One but you don't have Game Pass, you can pick up some real bargains. Sunset Overdrive is actually a personal favourite of mine. I think it's £1 or £2, but it's a really, really good, fun, over-the-top game. I think it'll always be cheap. I don't think it'll ever go up in price too much, over sort of £3 or £4, but hours of fun to be had there for sure. So let me know in the comments, have you or do you ever just walk into CEX and think, I've got a £5, let's pick up a game, why not? If you want to know what else I picked up, which also includes a Steelbook, PS4 game, Xbox One game, more 360 games, then you can check out my free game collection series. That video will be out very, very soon. If you want to check out a video from that series, you can click here, and until the next time, goodbye.